All right, good morning, everyone. And good morning, Jerry.
Yeah, good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Beautiful day.
Great. Okay, so today we are welcoming our guest, Dr. Jerry Wellik. And my apologies, I'm closed captioning at the same time. So he is from St. Cloud State University and a master of Qigong. So Jerry, could you introduce yourself?
I sure will. Okay, so my name is Jerry Wellik. I'm a white male. I'm 75 years old, recently retired professor of special education. I'll use the pronouns she and her. I have silver gray hair and a gray beard. I'm wearing a white shirt and tan pants. And I also wear glasses that are like wire rimmed glasses.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jerry. Now that we have introductions, I do believe we have a message from our host, Joseph Jones. So I'm not in control of that. I believe Dr. Amy Knopf is. So if we can play our welcome message.
Hello, and welcome to week 2 of the Ability event. This year's 2020 Ability event, week 2, is focused on advancing disability rights in the United States. I'm Joseph Jones, Executive Director of the Harkin Institute, and I'd like to welcome you here today for the kickoff of week 2. In today's program, it will be a disability interfaith session with Dr. Jerry Wellik, who is a Qigong master and professor emeriti from St. Cloud State University. I am pleased that you can be with us today, and I hope that you'll be able to join us for future presentations and programs, as throughout the next several weeks, we will celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I hope you have a great day and enjoy our program.
Live, I'll say thank you, Joseph. We love our partnership with the Harkin Institute and are very grateful for Joseph sharing the introductions. So Jerry, I was thinking this morning and I realized I believe the first time I met you was almost 30 years ago when I was teaching down in Elk River and you came and did a workshop. So you and I, at the same time the ADA is celebrating a 30-year anniversary, you and I are celebrating a 30-year anniversary. And I have so valued your passion for people and for bringing harmony into the world. I don't know how else to state it, but bringing peace and harmony. You're a peacemaker. And so the whole session today is focused on your area of expertise in Qigong. And we are very grateful that you've worked with us and shared your expertise in this area. But could you share some background information about how you got involved with Qigong, Jerry? That would be great.
Yes, I sure will. Okay, so as I had mentioned, I was a professor of special education at St. Cloud State University for many years. And I had been teaching at St. Cloud State, and I was on an overseas program in 2000. Several of my colleagues were retiring, and when I came back, I became ill, and I didn't know exactly what it was about. Went to see my family doctor, who I'd been my doctor for about 30 years, and he said, I have all of the symptoms of Vietnam vets, PTSD kind of things, and thought I had better get that checked out. And I was actually diagnosed with some kind of bone disease, some kind of issues with blood, and I just didn't feel well. But somehow I just didn't quite buy the idea that it was all physically related. And I just happened to be at a workshop, and they were doing Spring Force Qigong, what I practice, and they were doing it every morning for an hour before the workshop started. And I was just doing this very simple exercise, which I'm going to show you what it is. And all of a sudden, I just felt different. I started feeling something differently. And it was the beginning then of my path following and studying Spring Forest Qigong. And what happened, I guess, is I started to take better care of myself, notice the things that I was doing. So I really started making some lifestyle changes. Just one little thing, as I had mentioned, they thought I had some kind of a bone disease. Well, I'll come to find out after I realized how much coffee I was drinking. I was drinking coffee like I couldn't even believe. We lived near a truck stop where they have a bottomless cup of coffee. I was in schools, 7 or 8 schools a day, and they'd offer you a cup of coffee, and I'd never turn it down. So when I started realizing that I was drinking, maybe 15 cups of coffee a day, and that's one of the worst things you can do for your bones, I started putting some things together. So it wasn't just the exercises, but it was like a lifestyle change and opening up to something that I didn't realize that how many of my habits were having, causing me to be who I am.
But I'm so grateful for who you are. So Jerry, there's people who may not know much about Qigong. Can you share a little bit of the history of it and then how you work with Spring Forest?
Yes, I sure will. So Qigong originated in China it's been documented for about 6,000 years. And the practice is for longevity and for health. It was really came about as a result of people, being in touch with themselves, studying with people that were living long, healthy lives. And then they designed a few kinds of practices. But the history of it is it was thought that only the masters and people that had studied for 40, 50 years would be able to share these secrets. And that's the secret of how I got into Spring Forest Qigong. Master Chuni Lin has come here from China, and he says anybody can learn these practices. So that's the history. It goes way, way back, but many people associate it with Tai Chi. And Tai Chi is a form of a martial art. It's very closely related, but Tai Chi is more for exercise and flexibility, whereas Qigong itself is for health and for longevity and to learn about what life is all about. It's really a philosophy of life. And I must tell you, there's thousands of practices, different kinds of Qigong even. So this is one kind of Qigong, and I think they're all good, but it's just I happened to study with Master Chuni Lin, and he spells Qi Qi. Most people pronounce CHI, but most people think of it as CHI, but he pronounces it Spring Forest Qi Qi Gong, G-O-N-G. Qigong, Qi means energy, Gong means work. So it's like how the energy works.
And this spring during COVID-19, Jerry worked with our Confucius Institute and offered a class every Monday and Wednesday. And I can attest to the fact of the testimonials that came out of that time of people saying their overall well-being, their mental health, excuse me, really benefited from participating in the sessions with you. And as we look at the 30-year anniversary of the ADA, we are very cognizant of the impact of mental health challenges and of hidden disabilities and people with disabilities, part of being humanity, that also need to feel that social emotional well-being. And that's, I think, the gift that you bring to the team when you come, Jerry, because it's not just Qigong, it's also your whole aspect of really helping people find their inner well-being. That's what I've really been most impressed with.
Yes, thank you. The foundation of Spring Forest Qigong, Master Lin says, the techniques, and I'm going to show you, some of the techniques that we use, but the techniques aren't nearly as important as 4 foundational things: love, kindness, forgiveness, with compassion. And that's what I think the link too with, celebrating the American Disabilities Act, and I having been in the field of special education for almost like when the laws went into effect in the early 70s.
With IDEA. Yep.
That as well. And
Yeah. It has been a life journey and a life calling for you. I really believe that, Jerry. So we're so thankful you're able to be a part of our session. And I'm wondering now if we could switch over and you could actually walk us through some of your gift of sharing Qigong.
okay. And if I may, I'm going to just share a very brief poem.
Oh yeah, that's your other gift. Please do. I'm going to turn off my video and let you do your magic, Jerry.
And I think this poem has something to do with what this is all about. This poem is entitled The Way It Is, and it's in a book by William Stafford. The name of the book is The Way It Is. It's a compilation of all of the poems that he wrote. And he was a conscientious objector in World War II. And most of his poetry is about bringing peace and alternatives to conflict and wars. But this poem goes like this. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread. But it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. And I think that thread is the purpose of life. And I think sometimes we lose the main purpose. So what I'm going to be demonstrating is how to get us back on track to find out what's the most important thread in our lives and in all of our lives. Actually, we're all one people. And when we get out of balance, that's when problems occur. So I'm going to step back now. And I'm going to just show you what we do when I do a session with Spring Force Qigong. I have to keep an eye on the time because I have a tendency to maybe talk more than I need to. But we start the exercise by noticing how we are with the earth. So we have our feet about shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. And there's 4 components to this. One is the use of the mind, visualization or use of the mind. One is the breath. Another one is the way we stand and move. And then the 4th one is a sound component. And that has to do with our voice and music and all of the sounds around us. But nonetheless, we start by bouncing. And we have our feet about shoulder width apart. Now, just bouncing helps us to warm up the inner organs and start getting us to feel our bodies. So this system has to do with physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual development. So we're working on the physical, it appears here, but we're also using our mind to pay attention to what we're doing, slowing down the breathing. When we get uptight, we breathe rapidly, and then we get out of sync. So to get ourselves relaxed, just drop your shoulders. So when you drop your shoulders, that's a signal for the body to relax. You put a smile on the face, because when you smile, that opens up your heart. And it's a physiological thing, but the heart loves smiles. So when we're with each other and we smile and we see the good in ourselves and in others, we naturally smile. So the smile is important. Bend the knees. We bend the knees slightly because we become very aware of how our knees are. And when we keep our knees bent and we bounce, we generate kidney energy, so we feel better. So we begin by bouncing, then you bring your hands up over your head. Now, most of us live sedentary lives, so we don't get our hands up above our heads enough, and we get blockages. So the theory of this is everything is caused by blockages in our body. So really, it's a very simple thing. We're just removing the blockages. Now, the main reason for blockages is our emotions. So this is helping us to be very, very present in the present moment in time, focusing on what's the most important thing. And that is to be present and to be noticing right now just what I'm doing. To be very mindful how I'm breathing. So I'm just slowing down the breathing. Now this very simple exercise looks like it's not very much at all, but during my healing process, when I started to do this exercise, something cleared up in my throat. I had, for many, many years, I had like a little blockage in my throat, and I would get like a little frog in my throat. If I got a cold or something, it would be there for a long, long time. Well, when this released, and I was doing just this bouncing for actually 20 minutes a day with my hands above my head, but something released during that process, and I just know that it had something to do with speaking my truth and blocked emotions. But nonetheless, that's just a little sidetrack, but that's the reason for bouncing. Then we tap energy points. So there are major energy points that we tap to get the energy flowing. So I'll just do them quickly. The first two are directly below the center of the eyes. Tap those 9 times. I have my glasses on. Usually wouldn't have glasses on. But then where the eyebrows are, the top of the head, cup the top of the head, the base of the head, massage what's called the cervical 7. Then you clap your hands 9 times. Cup the inside of the left elbow, 9. Right elbow. Left armpit. Right armpit. Tap the sacrum and the tailbone. Now this is, most of us sit on our tailbone incorrectly, so we need to tap the tailbone. Then the hip joints. Tops of the knees. Backs of the knees. Sides of the left knee. Sides of the right knee. And then what we do is we put our hands in a prayer position. This is just a nice way to just honor, and we thank the universe. Now the universe is the source, or whatever we want to call it, God, or it's been called anything, could call it Jesus or Buddha. You don't have to be religious. This could just be like we'll just call it the universe. It's like the source of all creation. So we thank the source, and we tell the source what our intention is. What is the reason for doing this thing today? Is it something emotional? Is it to heal something physical? But it's very, very important that we have our purpose stated so we know why we're doing it. Now lately, I just recently had eye surgery, and it was actually pretty major surgery, and it's healing very, very rapidly. So I've been asking for help in making sure that this healing takes place, and it's healing very, very rapidly. And after you do that, then there's a password in Spring Force Qigong. The password is this: I am in the universe. The universe is in my body. The universe and I combine together. So what we're saying is, okay, there's this Qi. I mean, we translate it as energy, but it's Qi, which is energy. It has consciousness. It has intelligence. And it's inside of us, and it's all around us. So we call on that energy to be all totally aligned. So we say, I am in the universe is in my body, the universe and I combine together so that the physical, emotional, the mental, spiritual parts of us are all together, all totally aligned for one thing. So that we just, if other thoughts come into our mind, we just let that go so that we can be very, very present here. When we stand, we have our palms open, So you can feel the energy. And then you bring your right hand in front of the upper chest and the left hand in front of the lower dantian. Dantian is an energy center. And this exercise, this is the most basic of all the active exercises or active meditations. You move the right hand down and out and the left hand up along the midline. Now we were doing this exercise when I first felt that change, when I knew that there was something to this. And so it's a feeling, and it actually put me in touch with the wisdom that's inside of me. I've been studying Spring Forest Qigong for 20 years now, and what I'm realizing is that there's a wisdom inside of each and every one of us, a growth impulse, and it's in everybody, and we're all one being. So, this feeling of knowing that we are all created equal. We're all one with this. So I feel that this not only helps us to heal ourselves, but we're actually helping to heal the world. So when I'm doing this exercise, I'm slowly moving down. We have like major channels in our bodies. The medical people call them meridians, but Master Lin has taught us to think of them as channels. So there's a major channel that runs when we were doing the tapping, what we were doing is like igniting these energy centers. And there's these energy channels. So there's the energy channel that runs down the front and then up the back along the spine. So what I'm doing when I'm doing this exercise, I'm going to just turn to the side so you can see me a little better. My right hand is out, left hand is in front of the lower dantian, and so that I'm just moving the energy with my hands. So I'm moving the energy down the front channel, down around the bottom of the torso, and then up along the spine, along the back channel. So this simple exercise, called the moving of the yin and the yang, is just such a powerful exercise. And once you start feeling the energy and being aware of what's happening in our bodies, being aware of our breathing, it starts putting you in touch with all of these parts of ourselves. I'm smiling. It's better to keep just a gentle little smile on the lips. So you just notice what it's like when you're holding your lips with a smile, what it's like to be breathing deeply. And so when we do this exercise, generally what we do it for about 5 minutes, then end the exercise. And this particular exercise is very, very good for the liver. Now, when we have too much energy in the liver, that's where we carry anger. And so anger and frustration, what we're doing when we do this exercise is we focus on an emotion called happiness. And happiness is a faster vibrating energy than anger. So you don't have to even know the source of the anger or whatever. We just let go of it. So we just focus on letting go of the anger and just feeling what it feels like to be happy. Now there are 5 movements that we practice when we do the active exercises that I've been doing on Mondays and Wednesdays with the support and promotion of the Confucius Institute. And one of them works with the liver system. One of the exercises works with the heart system. One of them works with the pancreas, stomach, spleen. We can just call that the stomach system. One with the lungs, and the other one with the kidneys. So those are the 5 major organ systems in traditional Chinese medicine. And all blockages are caused by too much energy in some places. So we have this stored energy, and once we get into it, it's a very simple kind of process, is we're just letting go of the stuff that we don't need, like letting go of old stories. So, I feel like I'm getting better and better and healing, getting better, but I still practice every morning, at least a certain period of time. Like this morning, I was up at 6 o'clock and I did a half hour of exercises, and then I'm ready to go for the day. And each day I set my intention so that I'm focused on the most important thing that day. I see it's about 25 after already. I'm going to sit down again and just kind of sum up what these 5 basic elements are. But we let go of anger when we have too much anger in the liver. The heart is extreme emotions. So when we work on the heart, we focus on the emotion of joy. When we work on the stomach system, we focus on the emotion of peace. When we work on the lungs, we focus on the emotion of contentment or satisfaction. And then when we work with the kidneys are so important. That's the life force energy. When we have too much energy in the kidneys, that's where we carry fear. And to balance that, we focus on the emotion of gratitude. So I've just given you a very, very brief little summary of what this is about, but I want to be very aware of our time here. So I'm going to just ask if somebody has some questions. I'm very happy to answer any questions. And people can contact me if they want. I'm just JJ Wellik at stcloudstate.edu. And I'd just be happy to interact with any of you about what this is all about.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And I love how you integrate the attitude of gratitude, because that really is something we're embedding in our whole series of events. And so, but that's just such a part of who you are. I know that. And so it's great to have you share that with everyone else. And, sharing the 5 elements today was a really good foundation. Kudos to our American Sign Language interpreter. You've been doing a great job.
You did a great job. You did a good job. It
was awesome. So there is a question from Sherry Rademacher. She had asked, now do you have the diagnosis, or was the diagnosis misinterpreted from your early days when you were ill before you started Qigong?
I went back to the VA because at one time they told me I thought they said leukemia, but then when they went back to the records, they said pre-leukemia, but all I heard was leukemia. But my blood cell count has changed. I'm in the normal range, but I'm in the low normal range, but I learned all of these things that I need to do to maintain my health. But I've been healthy for that last time I was kind of in danger was in 2008. That I was, and when I'm saying danger, I was in fear because I thought I was going to have, it looked like I was going to have radiation treatments, and I did some extensive work with Master Lin, went back, he said, I think you're out of the woods now, and my numbers changed. So, this doesn't happen with everybody, but I think I let go of my fear. I think that's just what it was. And now I'm just, whatever happens, happens. I let go of the fear. And I know that there's something I can do. And most of it is what you say, Kathy, is just to be grateful. I'm so grateful. Right now, I'm so grateful my eye is healing. I had pretty serious surgery. It was like what they used to call a cornea transplant. But the fear is gone. It's just like, that's what it's all about, is being on purpose.
Right. And especially we're also talking about how COVID is impacting people and people's mental health, and how we want to stay focused and still find things to be grateful for. But I think one area that you and I have discussed is how Qigong really could be of benefit for post-traumatic stress disorder, especially for our vets.
That's exactly what I
hear about that, because you as a vet are living through all of that.
Yeah, and I have lots of friends that are vets, and they all deal with it differently. And I just think that one of the things we need to do is to talk with each other and express ourselves. I mean, that was one of the things. There were a lot of things that I didn't think I could ever talk about because, I mean, you don't want to have to remember things that the way some people treat each other. I wasn't in combat, but I saw so many things that I just don't want to have, in the forefront all the time. But if you don't ever get that out in some way and express it, so I feel like the Qigong, and I write poetry every day now, and so much of it is just like letting go of old stories. As a matter of fact, one of my Vietnam friends has written a book called Blessed Are the Peacemakers, a poet from Sauk Rapids. And it's such a beautiful poem or book for me. And he's become a good friend of mine because so many of his poems, he just let go with these little pieces to get it out, to just like express it and let go of it. And I think a lot of illness is caused because we have repressed emotions. We don't know what to do with them.
Right. So Jerry, we have another question that just popped up. Steve Anderson said, "Good morning, Jerry. I'm a 50-year-old man with cerebral palsy. How can these exercises work for someone who may have limited flexibility and or mobility?" Excellent question, Steve. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that question because most of this has to do with just in the mind, like what you're doing. And you just do them as best you can. That's the thing, is it's just a little different for anybody, but with somebody with the cerebral palsy, this is one of the best things that we can do with them. I've seen Master Lin work with so many people with disabilities, and personally too, where we can always get better. And when we improve, see, this is energy, or chi is always changing, either for the better or for the worse. And if we're making improvement, that's what it's all about. I'm so glad you asked that question because that's needed to be asked.
Well, and Jerry, I know when you've been doing our sessions, you have shared that, if you're someone who can stand, then stand. If you're someone who needs to sit, then you may sit through the exercises that you do, which also highlights if you're someone who is a wheelchair user, you can still participate in the Qigong exercises and do whatever movement and flexibility that you can do as an individual. But that is something I know that you've always been very sensitive to, and we've been very appreciative of that. So I know a number of you have asked for the email. Katie just put that in the chat room. So Jerry, you may be getting some more messages from individuals, and we are working with Jerry. We just finished our series on Monday and Wednesdays that we provided for free during COVID, and we are coming up with a new plan so that Jerry may continue throughout the fall. And so once we have that information, please reach out and we can share that with all of you. So I think this has been an excellent session. Unless anyone else has another question, I think you gave us a very strong foundation, Jerry, and something more to think about is that inner well-being and how we ensure the health of not only ourselves, but those around us. And how did you say the 4 areas again? Could you wrap up on those? Because the ending with the compassion, those 4 areas.
Oh, you mean the love, forgiveness, that one? Oh.
Yeah, that one was really important.
Love, and that's like unconditional love, just loving for no reason. Love, kindness, forgiveness, and then compassion. Those 4 things are the basis of this whole work. If you don't have that, I mean, these exercises help us to help others and heal others, but we won't be able to heal ourselves or others if we don't have those components, especially the unconditional love, to let go of those ideas that things can't change. Love can change anything. Gandhi had a beautiful quote. He said, "The most powerful force in the universe is universal unconditional love." And I love that. I say that to myself so often, and I have it written in so many places. Gandhi, he's one of my models.
Right. And Jerry, you don't have that just written in so many places. You live that. I think that is a basic core value that you live and you show. And we're very thankful that you're able to be a part of our 30-day event. And I noticed that you've been participating last week. I hope you can continue to join us throughout the rest of the week. Tomorrow we have Anastasia Somoza, who will be sharing her story through our Ability X event. So I think I have that right. Did I have that right, Amy? So thank you so much. You can find all of our speakers listed on the calendar, and know that we welcome you to join. If you have friends that you would like to join, it's not too late. Registration is still open, and I'm just very thankful to have this opportunity. Thank you for our interpreter. You did a great job today, and we're very thankful for all of our interpreters from Metro State University. All right, thank you so much, Jerry.
Hey, thank you.
Oh, Amy Knopf is coming on. 1 minute.
I was going to say, and from Middle English Interpreting,
There we go. Thank you.
who has been with us from the very first Ability event.
Oh,
Yeah, this is definitely a team project, and we're very grateful to all of our partners. Steve, you too at Hamline University. Okay, everyone, have a great day. I don't know where everyone is, but it's an absolutely gorgeous day in Minnesota. So let's go forth and be thankful today.
okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.